These types of connections are hard. They are painful. They are chaotic. They are intense, and it feels like nobody understands what you're going through. And the truth is that most of them don't. Most people will never understand this type of connection. But as someone who does, I'm telling you, let them go. Have you met someone and you can feel them? I mean, literally feel them. Their essence, their emotions, sometimes so strongly that it actually feels tangible. Have you encountered that? Maybe you're asking yourself, what's happened? What's going on? Who is this person to me? What is this connection? Are they my twin flame? That's a word that people love to throw around these days. Is it my soulmate? Is it a soul catalyst connection? Is it a false twin flame? Am I losing my mind? That's a fun one. I had that question a lot. So I want to touch on that today. All I can give you are my personal experiences and what I have learned from my experiences. I feel like I need to share because I wish that I had found me in this situation 5 years ago when everything was going on. I wish I had had me and this knowledge now. So I'm going to impart what I know from my personal experiences to you in hopes that if you are where I was 5 years ago, maybe you can get a grip on your reality. Okay? So my name's Jessica. I'm with Energy Escapades. That's my channel that I made because I think energy is an adventure. And my adventure really kind of started with this. So about 5 years ago, quick introduction, as quick as I can make it. So I was browsing an anonymous app where the only thing you can see about the person is their age range, their location, and how they identify their gender. So I started a conversation with someone, and the only thing that I knew about him was that he was a 21 to 25-year-old man that was approximately 3,000 miles away. And immediately our conversation became extremely deep and very spiritual and philosophical from the get-go. Long story short, we exchanged contact information. By our second text conversation, I was having visions of his living room. By our first phone call, he reached across the ocean and touched me. By our first video call, our sacral chakras snapped together. This happened within the span of about 4 days. So this all happened very quickly. Just one right after the other. Well, once our sacral chakras snapped together, everything changed forever for me. Because I had never known that energy was really a thing. Now, when he reached across the ocean and touched me, that was an experience, right? But I was still in kind of that giddy, oh, this is weird, what's happening thing. But once our chakra points connected, that was a whole other level of something. Like, I don't know if you all are familiar with the chakra system. I personally was not when all this happened. I didn't know chakras were real. I had heard the term. I didn't really know what any of them were or what it was, if it was real or what it meant. Turns out they are real. And what happened was with the second chakra, the sacral chakra, that is your pleasure center, and it is your sexual center, your creativity center. So this person and I, we immediately had that connection where our sacrals snapped together, and it was a very tangible connection. Like, we're trying to keep this PG for the YouTubes, but this was like, I could feel this man. I had never met this man. He had never stepped foot in my house. We'd never been in the same room. We'd never even been on the same landmass. I lived on an island 3,000 miles away from him. He literally was across the ocean. Like, we had felt it from the very first text communication. We had felt that, like, we recognized each other. That happened immediately. So this was way before I knew anything about twin flames. I don't think it had really made its major appearance into the social media market as it has now. So I had never heard of that. I had everything in my life was melting down around me. I have never experienced anything like this. And it was tough. And everything that I thought I knew was changing. And when I was like, what is happening? What is happening? Who is this person? What is going on? I had a massage appointment, and I was just casually chatting with my massage therapist, and I said something about how I met this person and we had such an insane connection. And she's like, oh, well, maybe he's your twin flame. And I was like, that sounds like a dangerous thing to Google. And it is. It, it is. But inevitably, what are you going to do? I Googled it because I had never heard the term. I had no idea what it was. And what I read was identical to what I was experiencing, to like a literal degree. Again, I'm trying. Everything in my life changed. Everything that I thought I knew about reality was wrong. All at once. And all of that stemmed from this connection that I had with this person who I could literally feel tangibly, emotionally, everything from 3,000 miles away, right? So, thus the journey began. The journey of trying to figure out what is happening. And anybody that's been on any kind of any sort of spiritual catalyst connection, y'all know what it's like. It's crazy. Like, it's so wild. You're so connected to this person. He and I think we talked over 40 hours the first 2 weeks that we knew each other, like actual speaking or like video calls. And that didn't count the texts that we sent all day long, because we were messaging back and forth constantly all day. And everything that we talked about, we had this just huge. I've never flowed with anybody like that in my life. I've never been able to have correspondence and just like understand. I've never had that level of communication with anybody in my life. Never. I've never had that level of enmeshment. We were like the same. He could feel all my feelings. I could feel all his feelings. We could physically feel each other. It was like something you would see in a movie. It was unbelievable. And then on top of the connection that I had with him, in addition to that, everything that I knew was falling apart. My entire reality was flipped upside down. Synchronicities were insane. I had people like walking up to me and like giving me these huge random like revelations from God and just like telling me stuff. And I'm like, I had out of body experiences. I had just everything. I could go on for so long about the utter chaos that ensued this connection. So not only did I have this crazy, insane, intense connection with this man that I did not even know, and we just were suddenly basically we could feel each other so intensely that it was like we were never alone, even if we were alone, because I could feel everything from him and he could feel me all the time, right? It was crazy. And then on top of that, everything was falling apart in my reality. I thought I was losing my mind. Thank goodness I had my therapist, because he was my rock. He held me down. My therapist, my best friend, poor thing. I just sent her, I unloaded all these messages and I was like, you will never believe. She's like, wait, pause, roll it back, what's going on? But she held me down as well. So I had people in my life to keep me balanced. But aside from that, everything was insane. But what we want to focus on is that connection. What does it mean? What is happening? How do you handle this? There's no one answer that is completely right for everybody. There's not. And I can tell you right now that there is not a single soul in heaven or earth that could have stopped me from pursuing this relationship to see what it would be. We did inevitably have our separations. We had the first major separation, which sent me into spiral panic mode, right? And then we got back together. I moved to his town. We live in the same town now, I think. I don't know. I think he still lives here. We'll get to that part of the story. So So I moved to his town, and we dated in real life for like a year and a half. We were dating in real life, and we have since completely severed ties. So we haven't spoken to each other in a year and a half. Even though we were no contact, I could still energetically feel him. This is harder to film than I was expecting it to be. The point of this video, I clearly had a soul connection with that person. What that soul connection was is not entirely known. I don't know what it was. My ex, he doesn't know what it was. He doesn't think it was twin flames, and honestly, I don't think so either, but I don't really know. People that have heard the story would say that it was twin flames, because as far as the lore goes on what twin flames are and how those relationships progress and unfold, he and I matched that perfectly, painfully perfectly. But I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's possible to know. Maybe somebody has some ability to find out that I don't, but I don't know. But what I do know is that for the longest time, one, I felt almost like I had an obligation to be with this man. And while there was a lot of good things about our relationship, there was also a lot of things that I let go just because he was him, and I dealt with it. Just because of our connection that we had. And I valued that as being highly unique and special. And it was very highly unique. I've never had anything like that happen before or since that connection. But what I have found is that actually, while he and I did have a very strong connection, and while it may have been a twin flame connection, or it may have been a false twin flame, or I just call it a soul catalyst connection because I don't know what else to call it. The only thing that I know for sure that it was a soul catalyst connection. But what I have learned is that just because you can feel someone and you have a strong energetic connection with them, that does not inherently mean that they are your one true love. It does not inherently mean that they are your other half. Yeah, maybe. But if that's how the other half of me treats me, I've got a lot to work on within myself. Which, again, I know, twin flame lore, that's what they all say. Listen, the point is, when you are in that kind of scenario, you feel like you have to sacrifice so much of yourself to be with that person. And, oh, if I just get this right, then I'll be with this person. It'll be okay. I just have to fix it. I have to figure it out. Surrender fear. Surrender control that stems from that fear. Trust and flow. What will be will be. If you are meant to be with that person, then you will be with that person. Straight up. In the meantime, you should work on yourself. I have grown so much as a person, as an individual, as a soul, energetically, mentally, physically, spiritually. I have grown so much since I met that person. And he's not been in my life for a year and a half, but my growth hasn't stopped. But I'm not growing because of him. And I'm not growing with the end goal of getting back together with him, because frankly, I don't see how our relationship could ever be salvaged after the way it ended. I don't see a way back. So I am not doing this because I have an underlying drive to be with this person. I don't. But the drive to make myself the strongest, best me that I can be, that drive is there. I work so hard at developing myself, growing myself, understanding energy, working on energy. That has become something that I have dedicated the last 5 years of my life to, and I don't see that ever stopping. I want to improve and get better and better. And that started because of that relationship. But that relationship is not the reason it continues. And that's one of the big things that I want you guys, if anybody's going through something similar to what I went through, where you have a legitimate soul connection of some type with someone, and it has kicked off your spiritual awakening and your growth and your journey, it can kick it off, and you can continue to grow. And in the beginning, I continued to grow because I wanted that relationship. I believed that if I was good enough, if I could fix myself enough, that I would be deserving of that relationship, and that we would live happily ever after in this magical, wonderful, mystical energy world. Because energy was a thing, right? And I knew it, so I just expected rainbows and unicorns for all eternity. If I could just work on myself and get to a point where I was self-developed within this relationship. He served a purpose in my life, and I probably served one in his as well. That's what you take away from it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a mystical, magical, wonderful, forever thing. Sometimes people serve a purpose, and it's a very important purpose, and it's a very strong purpose, but they serve their purpose. And they don't necessarily have to be in your life forever for that purpose to still be influential. For that purpose to still serve its purpose. For it to help you identify your purpose. I had been looking for something that I could not identify for my entire life. I knew that there was something more that I wanted, and I was looking for it, and I couldn't find it. Until I met him. He showed me that all of this existed. He helped me get through it, because those first 6 months were insane. But he had some experience in this world with the energy and whatnot, and he helped me through it. And then our connection was what it was. I don't know. But it was what it was. And 1, it is okay to not know. 2, it is okay to let someone serve their purpose in your life and then be on their way. 3, you deserve to grow because you, as a person, deserve to grow. Not because you're trying to meet some standard set by the universe or this person or whatever of worthiness to be in this relationship. You inherently have your own worth. And that is independent of the other person on the other half of this soul connection. And lastly, while my energetic connection to him was unique and incredibly strong, you can have energetic connections to everyone, to anyone. If you vibe with that person and they vibe with you, you can have a connection to them. Let's say you're feeling someone's energy and you're kind of already energetically aware. You've been dabbling with it, you meditate on a regular basis, and you're kind of energy aware, and you begin to feel someone's energy. Does that mean that this is a soulmate connection or a soul catalyst connection for you? Not necessarily. Once you become energetically aware, you have the ability to tune in to other people's energy, and you can feel it. So after becoming single from this relationship, because I didn't know that. He was the first person that I could really feel. And I did pick up on other people around me. Like I picked up on my mom or my best friend or someone else if they're having someone that I'm close to, and they're having a strong energy, emotional response, then I would feel it. But as far as like in a romantic capacity, I had not experienced a romantic sort of energy exchange with anyone except for my former partner. So for the longest time, I thought that sacral chakra connection and those sorts of romantic feelings, we had sacral and we had heart, I thought that was unique to him. And now that I've been single and I'm genuinely open to dating other people, as that has happened, I've realized that actually, now that I'm energetically aware, I can feel whoever I'm involved with. It is not, that connection in and of itself was a unique connection, but feeling someone's energy is not indicative of a soul catalyst connection or a soulmate or a twin flame or anything else. It is really more of just you're energy sensitive and you are picking up on what is being sent your way from other people. It does not inherently mean that this person is a soulmate connection. And what you need to make sure is that you look more at the other factors that are going on around you. Like, for me, yes, that connection was very strong with my former partner, right? But it wasn't just that. It was the fact that everything around me immediately changed. Everything that I thought I knew, I no longer knew. Reality as I had seen it, as a very concrete, tangible reality, that was no longer what my reality was. And so because of that connection with him, as strong as it was, plus the fact that everything around me dissolved and everything changed forever, that is what makes me confident that that particular relationship was a soul catalyst connection of some type. The people that I'm dating now and that I've been involved with since becoming single, while I feel their energy, it does not come with any additional soul catalyst properties. It comes with just a heightened sense of connection and awareness of the type of energy that is being exchanged. So pay attention to that. That should be a determining factor if you're wondering if this person is a person that is significant to your soul's growth. You want to look at that aspect as well. How is your soul growth impacted from this person's entrance into your life? And again, I just want to reiterate that even if you do have a soul catalyst connection, and it is undeniable, do not feel like you are trapped. Do not feel like you have to meet some invisible standards and guidelines to try to win this person. You have to see your own value. You have to grow for your sake, not for the sake of someone else. And if that person chooses to not be in your life, let them go. Let them go. If they choose to be temporary, let them be temporary. Do not, I know the chasing, right? The chaser. Don't. You don't have to play that role. You don't have to chase. You can take a step back and be like, wait a minute. I'm an awesome person. I have so much worth. I do not have to chase. I do not have to beg. Because that in and of itself is an energy that's going to put somebody off anyway, right? But especially in these types of connections, just don't. Surrender fear. Surrender control that stems from that fear. Trust, flow. Listen, these types of connections are hard. They are painful. They are chaotic. They are intense, and it feels like nobody understands what you're going through. It feels like nobody gets it. And the truth is that most of them don't. Most people will never understand this type of connection. But as someone who does, as someone who has been there, as someone who went through hell and high water for this man in every way imaginable, okay? I'm telling you, let them go. If they choose to walk away, let them go. Your worth does not hang on that relationship, their validation, their approval. You don't need them to grow. You don't need them to expand your spiritual horizons. That is all within your own capability. And when you work on that, when you grow, because once you start, I don't know if you can stop. Not really. Not forever. It's hard to walk away from something this strong. But when you're working on yourself, don't do it because you want to be with them. Do it because you deserve to be the badass that you are. That's what you've got to embrace. So that is the biggest thing that I hope you can take away from this, is that these connections are hard. They're hard to define. They're difficult to endure. I honestly would not recommend reading up on twin flames. I would not recommend joining the twin flame groups. I would not recommend pining after your twin flame idea. It is an interesting concept, but you need to focus on you and where you're currently at in your present moment, and not worry about this other person, what they may be. Because listen, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. Just because they're not in your life, you're still gonna be okay. I know it hurts. I know. It hurts. I remember how it felt to lay in my bed and cry so hard that I couldn't even cry. I wasn't even crying. I was just full body sobbing. I couldn't get a grip. I couldn't stop. I couldn't breathe. It was a full body sob. And I had other stuff going on in my life too, but the thing that hurt me so much was what this person had chosen to do. And it caused so much pain. And I know, and I understand. But you have to grow for you. Don't get swept up in this romantic idea. That's all I can say. Well, that was fun. What a great video. What a thrilling, exciting, fun, wonderful, happy video this was to film. So anyway, if you want, you can like and subscribe. This was kind of depressing, but it is what it is, and I do get it. I do. All I can say is that what I have learned is that this journey is about us as the individual. It hurt, but it's okay. And I promise, if I can be okay, you can be okay. You will be okay. You will get through it. You beautiful little person, you. You can do it. You'll be alright.